morning, everybody. My name is Josh, and with me today are my fellow entrepreneurs, Hope and Cameron. We are presented with the opportunity to propose a business that's going to contribute towards the action plan of making Vancouver the greenest city in the world by the year 2020. And with that, we present Tapped In. Before we go into some further analysis of the business model, as well as the environment that we're targeting, I'm going to go over some key points that we're looking at just to set the stage before we address the questions. So what Tapped In is we're producing a plumbing attachment that tracks water usage on individual appliances in the homes of Vancouver citizens, as well as those across Canada. What it does is it connects to an application of which we're going to develop to show data and provide suggestions of water usage and reduction. With that, we need a $350,000 capital investment. This is going to entail $100,000 of government funds, which you hope to acquire, and then in turn from yourself, $250,000 in turn for a 35% ownership in the company, which is valuing us at just under $750,000. When we devised the idea of Tapped In, we had three things in mind. First, we wanted to capitalize on the $10.6 billion industry of clean tech across Canada and monetize this industry. Secondly, we wanted to implement our ideas into the clean tech industry. This is an extremely growing industry, and scalability is going to be across the world. We want to get into this early to provide a profitable venture for all parties involved. And finally, we want to be a player in contributing towards the 2020 plan of making Vancouver the greenest city in the world. With that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Hope, who's going to go over some analysis of the industry.
So first, looking at an environmental analysis, we see that Vancouver has a specific goal to reach a 33% water reduction in the water consumption in Vancouver. So far, in 2014, they had reached a 16% drop, so about halfway there, and we hope that we can help to reach that end of the 33% that they were hoping to achieve. So this shows us two things as well, that there is room to drop that water usage more to reach that goal, and of course further after that goal as well. And also that people in Vancouver do care about this initiative and have put an effort to reduce their water usage, as it has already reduced that 16%. And then looking at some competition, so we are seeing that there are a lot of companies moving into kind of this smart home industry. However, there's not a lot that are focusing on the water aid reduction. There's a lot more focusing on energy and things like that, and more accessibility for people, as opposed to saving the environment and reducing their water usage. So we also see that this provides great opportunities to partner with some of those potentially existing people in that smart home industry who know the tech and the app development in that industry. So moving forward, our vision for this company, for Tapped In, is to provide a platform for ease of tracking and controlling your water usage, and of course to reduce the per capita water consumption in Vancouver, and then across Canada and across the world eventually. So moving into our marketing first. So we're going to see that our target market first is going to be citizens in Vancouver who own a home, as it's a lot easier for us to implement the system in a house as opposed to those apartment buildings and such to start off. So we're going to be targeting homeowners, so about 35 to 50-year-olds who also have a value for Vancouver's environmental goals and for just the environment as a whole. And we see that these people might also hopefully have that growing emphasis on that smart home industry, and might already have technology like this implemented in their house in other areas. So we're going to try to reach them. First of all, we're going to do a little bit of online advertising. Secondly, we hope to attend business fairs and small shows like that throughout Vancouver. And then also a great way we think to reach people would be to reach out directly to plumbers and people who are working with pipes and know water, and they can then kind of be a promoter for us as they're going into people's homes as well. And this is also a future target market that we could look at when using it to be implemented when building a house initially. And then lastly, again, those opportunities to partner with other companies who are doing similar things, or other companies who are trying to be environmentally friendly. So Cam will take you further into what this product actually is and what it does.
So as my colleagues did before me, it is a smart water meter that is installed into the plumbing, and it sends data to a hub, which then sends it to your phone application for ease of tracking, ease of controlling on a personal level of your water usage. So
is the expectation to go to each fixture or on the home itself?
So initially, as it's not going to be as easy to install on a whole home as on a whole existing home, it'll be per fixture. However, we hope that in the future we'll be able to install these as the home is being constructed, and therefore it'll be easier to install per household.
So a 2-bathroom, 1-kitchen home, you're going to have 3 of these installed.
Ideally, yeah. So it's a 3-component meter that makes it easier to install on a fixture. It consists of a pipe with a detachable detector port on it, the attachable detector port, and then the electronic broadcaster that will broadcast it to the hub, which then broadcasts it through the internet to your smart device wherever you are. So it will be very streamlined and very accessible. And then again, the centralized hub, which allows access to the internet. It's kind of a necessary part, as each individual meter will connect to this, which then sends the data on. The application collects real-time data. So this data is sent to the hub again, sent to your smartphone. It also tracks some historic usage to help you better see where your goals are being met and where you can improve and how well you're progressing towards personal set goals as well as the goal of Vancouver itself, as this will be included in the Vancouver demographic hub for this app. Again, provides customized suggestions. For instance, if you are detected to be using your shower longer than optimally surveyed or studied, they may say suggestions as that might be an area you can target to help reduce your water consumption, or other areas that are personal to the consumer based upon just some common trends on the app.
So it's not actually limiting my water usage, it's giving me suggestions on how I can.
And so this unit, sorry, I've got it somewhere, but how much is it costing per unit? Because if you're gonna have to put it on every single pipe that has an overflow.
In terms of like how much is the consumer paying for this product? So we're selling this, is hoping to sell this for a range around $50 per unit.
$50 per unit.
Yes.
I need to put it on every single pipe in my house that has an outflow, so to my shower, to my toilet, to my sink.
So all the main ones that you want to register, so like the ones you just mentioned there, yes, that's exactly what we do.
Again, it is easier to install it into a per room and more of a during construction. However, since that isn't always possible, or people might just want to test out a single fixture, we do not want to have people wanting to try the products and having to invest a lot of money to have it installed into a more direct water line.
How many units do you have in the marketplace right now?
So currently, right now, we have 0 market sold just because we don't have the capital to begin the research to actually produce the product. That's why we're here today, to get this thing started off the ground and then begin distribution soon.
So we're looking for solutions that can be implemented pretty quickly, because 2020 is rapidly coming. How quickly do you think you can actually get this out into the marketplace and having people use it?
So right now, we budgeted for a research and development time of 8 months, at which we will begin selling into the market. But then with capital increases, we could definitely shorten this time. But we hope to begin selling units within the year.
Moving forward, I'll be passing it on to Josh to talk about some key financials.
Excellent, thank you, Cam. So going into our 5-year projections of the tapped-in income statement, as you can see at the top of the revenue, we have revenue sales of the year like we just mentioned, but I want to begin with the expenses. So first we have budgeted $200,000 for research and development, of which we want to, like we just discussed, go over an 8-year plan of developing this product. And then into some cost of goods sold, which we plan to get a producer overseas, potentially from the Asian market or down south in South America. We haven't decided on the specifics yet, but that's also going to be reflected in our negotiation fees, in which we want to find the best available producer for us that's going to work and be a net positive for all parties involved.
So are you saying that once you've developed the product in the first year, there's not going to be any more research and development done? Like, what about improvements on the product? What if you find out something doesn't work?
That's a great question. So what we wanted to reflect here is just the initial capital cost. As you can see at the very bottom, we have a contingency fund, which is allocated at 10% of our total sales. So some of this fund can definitely be produced towards research and development. This is something that we want to continue, and we'll mention going forward in our future growth opportunities.
So it's January 2019. We're looking for to be the greenest city in the world by 2020. So we're 8 months out. So it's August, September, you start selling. You have $70,000 in revenue
So first off, I want to say that the 1,400 units will actually probably be about 5 units per person, we're estimating, because a lot of people who are investing in this will be investing fully to get cover their whole house or a few different appliances. So we don't actually have to sell to 1,400 people, which helps a lot. And then moving forward, we want to really target those small fairs and stuff, and really meeting people in person and gaining those connections, as online is a little less direct, and that's it is effective, so we're going to do it a little bit. However, that's not going to be our main avenue for marketing.
Are you selling direct to the homeowner, or are you selling to the contractor who then is reselling to the homeowner?
So initially, we're targeting just homeowners. Further on, we hope to target contractors so that we can get it into homes within the development of those homes.
So have you taken into consideration if you're starting to sell direct to homeowners first at your price point, have you taken into consideration that contractors you're gonna have a discounted price to, so that they can make a markup on it?
That is something we've definitely considered going forward. In the appendix that we have a breakdown of the market size that we're actually expecting in terms of the water reduction in the clean technology, and our revenue is based on a percentage of this. So it's going to fluctuate, but that is definitely something we are going to consider. So continuing on, we have our marketing costs, which Hope discussed earlier. We're going to do local fairs as well as online advertising. So we just budgeted for $12,000 initially for this right now, which is going to be a continually increasing fund going forward. Wages, as you can see, we're not drawing a wage in the first year. Because this is primarily research and development, we're going to be able to supply ourselves with funds to live within the first year, which going forward, we're going to draw a $40,000 living wage for all of us to operate the business, and then we can, of course, draw from net income once the business becomes profitable. So the app development cost is next, which leads $45,000. As I said, we're going to develop this out of house, pay somebody to build this for us, essentially. And then we have an app maintenance cost of 5%, and then this is adjusted for inflation going forward, just to keep upkeep of the app, any updates that are required, and just to stay on top of that.
Can you tell us a little bit about the team? Like, who's going to be doing sales? Who's going to be doing product development? Who's going to be doing operations? Can you tell us a little bit about the team?
Yeah, sure. Josh has our financials covered here mostly, so he will be focusing on that and also helping with selling and with the productions and operations and negotiations. However, Cam's going to be the one really taking on the production of the product and those negotiations and figuring out how we're going to do it and, like, I guess, the logistics. And then I'm the marketer. I'm going to be doing those fairs mostly, the one focusing on the selling.
To build off what Hope said, as a startup, the 3 entrepreneurs that we were able to manage the operations for the first couple of years as this is getting off the ground. But as it grows, we do understand that we have to hire a more significant team that just is within the company itself, and that's something we have to look at going forward. But for the startup time, we believe that the 3 of us will be able to manage operations required for the first 3 years.
Thank you, Cam. So that brings us through our first year of 2020, of which the product has been, this is going to be our first full year of sales, which we expect to see $336,000 in sales. This is primarily not going to only be in the Vancouver market. We expect that online sales are going to be across Canada and other regions as well, but this is where we're going to primarily focus our marketing. So this brings her down to a breakdown of our cost of goods sold, which is just calculated on a percentage of our sales, and this is also going to reduce going over time slightly by roughly 2% a year, just due to economies of scale and developing a relationship with our supplier, that we're going to be producing more units so they can give us more of a break on that end.
You guys talk about distribution in your cost there, that's logistics, shipping.
That's exactly it, yes. And then with the online distribution, we want to develop, partner with an online platform, something like along the lines of Amazon. We just expect to incur any costs regarding that. We just want to account for that going forward.
So selling on an online platform to homeowners through Amazon, hoping to eventually bring in contractors that aren't buying on Amazon and then selling to homeowners.
Have you looked at commercial applications? Like, you know, in your target market is homeowners. Have you looked at schools or businesses?
Or offices or something along those lines. That's definitely something that we feel the product can be transferred over into with light adjustments, that's definitely a market that we can tap into going forward. With the plan of making Vancouver the greenest city in 2020, they're also planning on building buildings that are net zero in terms of emissions. So we feel like this is going to be an incentive that companies are going to want to buy this product, implement them into their buildings, and just contribute towards the goal ultimately. So this brings us to our first break-even year, essentially, in 2021 of $9,000 loss. This is when all of our capital expenses have essentially been budgeted for, and our expansion is growing at a rapid rate, which we see $1 million sales in 2022. This is expected to be across Canada, also in the US as well, just through distribution and marketing. We expect this thing to take off. Which brings our first profitable year of $104,000 and net income in the year 2022. We're issuing dividends to our shareholders of 80% and keeping 20% in retained earnings. With this 20%, we plan on looking at investments just to gain more cash, implement that back into the business, look into more research and development, anything to improve the product going forward. We really want to develop this and scale this across the world. So if there's no further questions, I'm just going to go into some key financial ratios. They're just going to reflect our growth going forward with best. So just looking at some quick calculations of just net profit margin in the year 2020, that is when we were getting the ratios. This is not in 2019 because we feel the capital investments just negatively reflected. It's not actually an operational year for us in terms of value. So we're seeing steady growth going forward, peaking at 15% in 2023 of net profit margin. We feel this is great for the industry and we want to continue this going forward. So return on equity, this is just based on a calculation of just under $700,000, or just under $750,000 for the 35% stake that we have. And also steady growth going forward, essentially doubling each year. We expect this to level off, but this is something to reflect your investment and why this is going to be a profitable venture for everyone going forward. So I'm going to pass it over to Cam, who's going to look over some key performance indicators of the operations of the business going forward.
Thank you very much. So within the target of our company, the target vision, we have is to reduce the total water usage per capita. We understand that we may not be able to hit the target of 33% as the remaining 17% may not be attainable to hit within the 12-month period, as 16% was only hit within the last 9 years, close to. So 5% over 2 years is what we're kind of aiming at right now. The current trend is at 2% per year, and we're trying to accelerate this. And as we expand our market share, this will start to accelerate over time as well. In 2020, we plan to have our efforts and our products spreading across Western Canada, as this product isn't one that's necessarily limited to the demographic of Vancouver. And then we plan to expand our marketing across North America, coming in the 3rd and 4th year as reflected in our marketing expenses. And this will help us, contribute to a greener globe, not just contributing to Vancouver, although that is where we're planning to start operations.
Other than the $250,000 investment, what other types of support or resources are you looking for from our incubator?
We definitely need a lot of help in the research and development still. So we're hoping to outsource a lot of the research and development, as none of us are plumbers or know how to make an app fully. So if any of you could contribute, especially in that field, that would be extremely helpful. And also, we could always use more help in the marketing, and if we could get this expansion to grow even more rapidly, then that would be amazing.
With more and more people in Vancouver and across Canada moving out of houses into condos, into apartments, where a lot of them are governed by a strata, they pay a flat rate, and it's unlimited. How do you market to those people where there is no money to be saved off of their utility bill because water is included?
So we might actually, in that scenario, market to the building, and then they're marketing it more from the green perspective. And they can be saving money themselves, but they're marketing to their customers who are renting in the apartment building that they're living in a green environment, and they have this opportunity to track their water usage and to reduce their water usage because they're living in that building. So we would sell it like that.
If there are no further questions, we'll move on to some risk mitigations. So the water contaminations or concerns of this by installing a piece of a device into your water system is obviously a concern for some people. However, we plan to have 3-component unit consisting of a standard pipe that meets building code for that region. So the parts exposed to water will not be any different than the materials already exposed to your water through the plumbing. Repairs may be difficult, will be a concern for many people, but luckily we were available to mitigate this risk by making the components removable and replaceable within the full system without having to necessarily shut off the water main for each single little bit that may go wrong. You can simply repair or troubleshoot each piece independently without shutting off the full water. And incidental water flow restrictions or pressure problems. Again, we plan to have very little interaction or interference with the flow of the main water mains going through your house. And some of the attachments will be directly to the faucets, which again, we're only going to be detecting the speed of the water flowing through it and then calculating it based upon the diameter and size of the pipe, how much volume is going through. We're not putting any sort of big propeller or more complicated mechanics than that. Moving forward, I'll be passing it off to Hope to talk about some timeline.
So in the first 8 months, as we already discussed, this is going to be where we're doing the research and development of this product. So we're hoping to hire experts in plumbing and app development to make sure that this is the product that we really want it to be. And then, of course, testing the product for basic use and also, as Cam talked about, for anywhere that may occur with water flow through it. Moving into the 8 to 16 months. This is where we're going to begin selling the products. And then also really heavily pushing that marketing as well. And then moving into 16 to 24 months. This is where we hope to expand across Western Canada, so moving out of just Vancouver, and then continue to refine the product. And then 24 plus months, we hope to again continue expansion and also begin discussing compatibility with smart home companies, as we mentioned earlier. And Josh will quickly go over some other future opportunities.
Excellent, thanks, Hope. So as Hope was just discussing, we want to partner with a smart home company. We feel like this product can be easily implemented into smart home systems, something that can be monitored away from your home, something that can potentially be adjusted in your shower where you can cut your water costs away, as well as partner with BC Hydro potentially to create a smart usage edge. We can combine them together, both create a profitable venture for all parties involved, and then help reduce water usage globally. And we're targeting Vancouver initially because we want to be take part in the battle of making Vancouver the greenest city by the year 2020. But we realize that this is a global cause. So we want to scale this business across the world. And we hope that we see that you join us in this venture and making the world a greener place. With that being said, thank you for listening to our presentation today.